Hi, I'm Rachel, and this is Designed Resilience, the corner of the internet where we talk about building daily habits, practices, and rituals to help you be resilient in a way that is not about gutting it out. It's not about just digging deep and pulling it out, but building your resilience daily so that when things do go crazy, you have habits and rituals that you can rely on to ground you and move you through challenging times. Today, I want to talk about the financial stability. It's the second pillar of designed resilience. And I want to talk at a high level. Future videos will get more into the depths of the practices, but I want to tell you about the high level steps that I took to go from living paycheck to paycheck, having a negative net worth, meaning that the stuff that I owned was worth less than the stuff that I owed. So I owed more money than I had or was making. How I went from not knowing where my money was going to now, how long has it been? Almost 8 years later, having a savings, not living paycheck to paycheck, having a positive net worth, which means the things that I own are more than the things that I owe, and just having a really good system in place and handling. And there are lots and lots of financial advisors and financial teachers in the world. And my number one recommendation is that you just find one. You find one that resonates with you, that makes sense with your life, and you get financial education. Because at least in my family, financial education was not something that happened. I knew that my parents were worried about money. I knew that anytime they talked about money, it was stressful, but I didn't know. I knew that credit was bad. I knew that it was just hard to manage money, and my parents didn't see eye to eye on the way to do that. So I didn't grow up with a ton of financial information. And so finding a teacher that you understand and that has a plan to get you to the goals that you want to get to is just do it. Just help yourself out. You can go on YouTube, you can listen to podcasts, you can read books, just find somebody to help you have a system around money. But I'm going to tell you the steps that I took to move from a position of financial instability to financial stability. So I followed Dave Ramsey, and my husband and I did the baby steps together. And so I'm just going to high level overview them. And then in subsequent videos, I'll go more into depth about each step and what I learned from doing them. So the first step, well, actually, before you can start the baby steps, you want to make sure that your 4 walls are taken care of. So your 4 walls are your housing, your food, your transportation, and your utilities. I kind of got those out of order. So let me say that in an order that makes more sense. Housing and utilities, transportation, food. If you do not have enough money to pay for all of the things that you need to pay for in a month, and you know that you're going to come up at the end of the month short, the first thing to do is take care of your 4 walls, because everything gets harder if you don't have a place to live, if you don't have heat or electricity or internet, if you don't have a way to get around, and if you are starving. As a human being, you deserve to have those things first and foremost before you pay creditors, before you pay for subscriptions, before you pay for anything. So before you start the baby steps, orient yourself to paying first for your housing, your utilities, your transportation, and your food. Now, that's probably going to make some people mad. That's probably going to make people call you. But realize that if you decide to pay collectors before you take care of the 4 walls and you lose those things, life gets really, really, really dark. So We want to make sure that those things are taken care of on a regular basis. So if you have to catch up on your utilities, if you've got late fees, focus on that. If you're back on your rent, focus on that. Make sure that you are taking care of the four walls, because without them, it's so much harder to make any progress. If you have trouble paying for food, consider, if your family qualifies for SNAP or food stamps, if there's a local food bank that can help your family have food to eat, start there. Okay. Once we get that stabilized and we're paying our rent on time and we're paying our car payments on time and we're paying for insurance like we're supposed to and our utilities are caught up, those late fees that we're not paying anymore because they're caught up can now be used to help us make progress on our other financial goals. But when everything's behind, we're paying so much in fees or deposits or things like that, that it can be really difficult to get ahead. So we'll call it point one or before zero. Or that's baby step zero, I guess. Okay. Once we've got those squared away, our four walls are squared away, baby step one is to save $1,000. Now that's going to feel crazy. That's going to feel crazy because you're like, I have all of these people who need money. I have bills to pay. How am I supposed to save $1,000? And that's exactly why the first step is to save $1,000, because you need to prove to yourself that you are worthy of savings and that you can have the discipline to do it. There's lots of ways to save $1,000. You can sell things. You can pick up little extra jobs and make all of that money go to your $1,000. But what having that $1,000 does is it gives you a little bit of room so that you can try to stop using credit cards or other credit instruments. So you can try to stop borrowing money and just use that money to create a buffer. So if you need new tires or something like that, you're not financing it and adding to your debt, but you have a little bit of a buffer. So step one, save $1,000. Something fun that you can do with it is buy a dollar store picture frame and put the $1,000 in the picture frame, and then put a little sign that says "break for emergencies only." And so you have this visual reminder of the powerful thing you've just done. You've just saved $1,000, and you know it's available and handy for you in case you need it in an emergency. But that's step one. And the feeling of accomplishment when you do it is amazing. Okay. Step two is to pay off debt. Now, it is very normal, and I've had these conversations myself, it's very normal for people to say, debt is normal. Everybody has debt. And largely that's true. A lot of people, especially in the United States, have debt. They have student loans, or they have car payments, or they have credit cards, or they have store accounts, or they have personal loans, or they have home equity loans, or they have all these debt. So why would you pay it off? Why would you try to do that? The thing that cinched this for me as a valuable thing to do is when I realized that every dollar I spent in debt, everything I put on a credit card, every loan I took out, everything I financed, was signing me up to work in the future. So I was adding hours to my working life with every debt thing I had. And I work, I enjoy working. I want to work. I like it. But I also want to have some control over when and where and how long I work. And so every time I did something with debt, I was losing that control. It was making my life riskier because I would always have to find a way to pay that off if I borrowed to get it. So I'll do a video in the future that talks about the specific steps I did to pay off my debt. But my husband and I paid off $72,000 in debt in less than 2 years. And so, in just about 2 years. So, or just a little over 2 years, 27 months. We paid off $72,000 in 27 months. And we had a disciplined plan. And so I'll share that in another video, but you've got your $1,000 savings and you pay off your debt. You have now really pulled yourself out of the matrix. You have cash and you don't owe people money. No one can take things from you because you don't owe them money for it. You own it. And there is a freedom in that is delicious. It is. I cannot imagine, and I do not ever intend to live any other way than this, than to save up money and pay cash for things as opposed to using credit or loans. Of course, for houses, of course, like mortgages, yes, that's a lot of money. But for other things, I don't want to sign myself up to work any longer than I have to. And any debt I took out would be that. So step 3 is putting even more of a buffer between you and the world with a fully fledged emergency fund. So by now, if you're following this process, you've been doing a budget for months. You know exactly how much it costs you and your family every month to live because you got your budget. And so you're going to take that number, that monthly number, and multiply it by 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, between 3 and 6 months worth of expenses. You're going to take that first $1,000, put it in an account, and you're going to add money to it until you have 3 or 6 months worth of expenses in that account. And that's your emergency fund. And so this is an account that covers things that you can't regularly pay for that are emergent. So we've used our emergency fund when I lost my job. We used our emergency fund to replace an air conditioner. So it's a safety net of money for you to have. Baby steps 4, 5, and 6 are more wealth building steps. And so if you're just looking for financial stability, that's all the work you have to do is just pay off your debt, get all caught up on your 4 walls, pay off your debt, and put your emergency fund in place. And you are stable. You have what it takes to ride the waves. Dave Ramsey's plan has baby steps 4, 5, and 6, which are more about wealth building. It's investing, saving for your kids' future, and paying off your mortgage. So those are steps that my husband and I are doing. We don't have children, so we're saving for the future and paying off our mortgage, but that's not what's required for financial stability. Financial stability is just knowing that you have what you need to take care of your life financially. So in the future, we'll go deep dive, and I'd love to have your questions. If there are concepts about budgeting or investing or things like that you're not quite sure on, I can tell you what I know. I'm not a financial professional, certainly, but I have had enough lived experience to know what it's like to struggle, to not know how you're going to pay for something, to know that you can't pay for something, so you just run out of it, or to make choices about what you do pay because you can't pay everything. And I can say it's so much less stressful and honestly a lot more fun to have done the work that it took a couple years to do to get to a financially stable place. And I hope that I can help you with that too. Because when you are financially stable and you've taken the time and the daily habits and practices that we'll talk more about in the future to get there, you can handle the storm. You'll be stable. You'll be resilient. Hope this was helpful. I'll see you next week.